Hello, dear sisters. Today I want to present a new message before you, and in this message I wanted to summarize everything that we talked about in our first message of the one that I did, second and third and the fourth, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I thought it would just be appropriate for us to start a new year with going through a couple of things again, because we forget. And I just thought it would just be a great idea to just go through those things and remember what we talked about. Okay, so I will start with my first message that I did this past year, which was, are emotions ruling your life? And it was a very, very important strategic message for all of us to hear. And I hope that you remember that the main point of this message was that we cannot please God by walking in the flesh. We can only please God when we walk in the Spirit. I hope you really remember that, and I truly hope that you analyze your life and really thought, am I walking in the Spirit or am I walking in the flesh? Also, I hope you remember that I mentioned that life which is led by the flesh is completely void of all fruit. It's a fruitless life, a life that is led by weak, powerless women, immature women that are immature spiritually speaking. So we contrasted the life in the flesh with the life lived in the Spirit. Also, I hope you remember I mentioned that life, when we live life in the flesh, it is void of all vision, it is void of all direction, it is a life of rebellion over authority in your life, and it is completely fruitless. And obviously we can say that all those things are completely the opposite for the life that is led in the Spirit. It is full of fruit, it is full of vision, it is full of direction, it's a flourishing life. You are alive spiritually when you walk in the Spirit, because the Spirit gives life, nothing else. So we also, I also mentioned that to walk in the Spirit is not an option, it's a command that the Lord actually commands, and then He supplies the Spirit. And let us read Galatians 5:16 and 17. And why I wanted to read those verses again, just because we forget. I wanted you to get them deeper and deeper into your system, so to say, because this is such a strategic verse for us. So Galatians chapter 5 verses 16 and 17. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. So this is the command. So how do we do this? I hope you remember in the message called Fundamentals of the Spirit-Led Life, I talked about us, you and me, and all of us women that desire spiritual maturity, desire to get deeper into Jesus, get more of Him. We position ourselves to receive. We position ourselves in that secret place each morning as we spend time with the Lord. So that's how we break into the sphere of communing. I also remember that I gave you a verse in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 18, where it talks about that we are expected and commanded and encouraged to be continually filled with the Spirit, day after day and the day after day. And that's what exactly happens in the secret place when we seek Him. Let us read that little passage. Ephesians 5, verse 18. And be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. You remember that is a present continuous tense. Be ye filled. Also, I talked about mimicking Christ as he would meet his Father in the morning. You remember Mark 1:35. I hope you remember, where it talked about that he withdrew himself into a solitary place every morning to spend time with his Father. So we should mimic him because Christ has perfect theology. Also, I hope you remember that Christ wants all of us. And that's why it is so important to give him that time in the morning, because throughout the day we're torn in every direction possible. It is very hard to give your whole self, so to say, to the Lord. By grace of God, it is possible and it is commanded, but in the morning we can give him our whole self. Nothing else is demanding us. I don't know if there's such an expression in English, but I hope you understand what I mean. Christ wants all of us. We also looked at the example of the wonderful man of God in the Word as David, who was also seeking the Lord again and again and again. Early in the morning, before the night watches, he would wake up and he would spend time with the Lord. He will seek him in the morning. He will seek him on his bed at night. He would seek him continually, but specifically in the morning. So we came to the conclusion that to spend time with the Lord requires a commitment, and it should be a priority. And my dear sisters, after all is said and done, after I, so to say, preached and preached and preached, ask yourself a question. I am asking you a question. I am challenging you again. Is this a priority for you? Are you seeking the Lord? Is this a priority for you? This requires sacrifices. It requires a sacrifice of our time. It requires a sacrifice of our sleep. It requires a sacrifice of our agenda for the day. And we engage into spiritual warfare to overcome those sacrifices. So, have you made this commitment? Is it a priority for you? Ask yourself again and again and again. Also, as you remember, I mentioned a very, very important point in this message of the fundamentals of the Spirit-led life, which was that us spending time with the Lord, if you're a married woman, helps our husbands. How? Because we are being filled with the Lord and we can refresh our husbands. We walk in the Spirit. We are more pleasant to be around. It helps our husbands. It helps our family. The Lord puts us in order. I hope you remember I mentioned that in the morning. So we live we live a Spirit-led life thanks to that. So when you're filled with God, you can refresh others. You can water others as you're being watered afresh every day by Him. Okay, one more message, a summary for one more message, which was victory over excuses. We talked about that there are countless excuses that women have in the flesh, obviously, not to spend that quality time alone with the Lord, because they desire to sleep longer, and just one after another. And on the practical note, I hope you remember I mentioned that if you need to wake up earlier, just go to bed a little bit earlier. Also, on the practical note, I mentioned that you and we should examine our schedules, and I hope you did, and try to find out where you have any gaps in your time, so you can fill those gaps and not say that I'm too busy to spend time with the Lord. You have time. Just go through your schedule and analyze your schedule. You most likely will find more time to spend with the Lord in the morning. And I hope you did that also. I'm not just babbling here. I really want you to make those steps, to do what I'm trying to encourage you to do. And I hope you remember the very, very, very important thing that I mentioned, which was, what do we gain ultimately by spending time alone with the Lord in the morning? We gain Christ, which is absolutely priceless. More of Him, more of His Spirit. We gather manna in the morning before the heat of the day comes and scourges us, before the day sucks us in, and this is extremely important. And one last thought in that message of victory over excuses, that what happens when we do have excuses, we start slowly, if we want to spend time with the Lord, we start slowly to retrain ourselves. But to retrain yourself to wake up a little bit earlier, you have to have a clear vision, clear direction. Why do you do what you do? And I also hope you remember that we do this because we want to experience what Christ has experienced when he spent his time alone with God. We want that special touch that has been reserved by the Lord just specifically for you, not for anybody else in this world. Just specifically for you, because you are that precious to him. You're that special to him. He wants you to come. Okay, I hope this was a good overview. I hope all those things have been refreshed in your mind, and you challenge yourself once again and again to ask those questions that I just asked you. And I will see you next time. God bless. Have a wonderful day.